Hello everyone, this is Professor Xun Bian. In this video tutorial, I want to show you how to calculate the duration and the volatility of a bond if you have to use the TIBA2 Plus financial calculator to run the calculation. So before we jump into the calculation, the first thing I want to say is that if you have a TIBA2 Plus Professional, you should not be watching this video because there is a much easier way that's going to allow you to handle the calculation automatically. But unfortunately, if you have to use the TIBA2 Plus, right, so you should actually be able to use the method that I will be discussing here to run the calculation. So the question that I want to go over here to demonstrate you how to run the calculations is this one here. We ask the question, what is the duration and the volatility of a 4-year bond with a coupon rate of 2% and a yield to maturity of 3%? So before we run the calculation, the first thing that I want to do here is to make sure the cash flow is clear to everyone. We're talking about a 4-year bond. We're assuming the bonds are making annual coupon payment. So this is why for the first year, you're getting 2% of the face value, whatever the face value might be. In the second year, you're getting another 2% of the face value paid to you as the coupon payment, so on and so forth. And in the last year, this is the time of maturity. You're getting paid the last coupon payment of 2% of the face value, plus you're also getting paid the face value at the time of maturity. This is why at the end, at the time of maturity, you'll be receiving 102% of the face value. As you can see here, I'm using the percentage of the face value as the unit, right? So, and also later when you actually use the worksheet, that is basically the unit that I use. Of course, you can also choose to use the dollar number, right? If you want to use that, that's fine, which is going to give you the same answer. But the advantage of using the percentage of the face value as the unit is you don't actually have to know what the face value is. So hopefully the cash flow is clear to everyone. So my suggestion to you is if you have to calculate the duration and the volatility, right, without the automatic function to calculate that, I think the best way is to use a worksheet like this. In this case, you have 5 columns, right, to complete. The first column here, because we're talking about a 4-year bond, I'm simply creating a time index. It runs all the way from year 1 to year 4, right, because we have a 4-year bond. And then what I want to do in the second column here is to list the cash flow. You have 2% in the first year, 2% in the second year, 2% in year 3, and then last but not least, you have 102% paid to you at the end of year 4. That is consisted of the 2% coupon payment and then also the face value returned to you at the end of maturity. So no calculation so far, just trying to summarize all the information. And then what do we want to do here in column number 3 is using our financial calculator, we will one by one calculate what is the present value of each individual cash flow. So for example, for this blank box here, we're trying to calculate what is the present value of the first 2% coupon that you're getting at the end of the first year. So let me bring in my financial calculator here. The first thing obviously you want to do is you want to clear the memory of your financial calculator before you jump into any new calculation. So what you want to do is you want to do second, reset, and enter, right? So that clears up everything. And then the other thing that I would also suggest you do is because when you're doing the volatility and the duration calculation, very often you're dealing with very small numbers. To have enough precision, what you want to do is you want to carry at least 4 decimal numbers. You can actually change the setting of your financial calculator to accomplish that. So what do is you can do second and a format. Right now, you see the default value is 2, which means that the calculator allows you to see only 2 decimal numbers, but we want to see at least 4. So what I can do here is I can do 4 and enter, right? So immediately you see, now you can see 4 decimal numbers. So after that, what you want to do? You want to do second and quit, right? So now you can start your calculation. Like I said, for the first cell here, what I want to do is I want to calculate the present value of the first 2% that I receive at the end of the first year. This is a very straightforward present value calculation for a single lump sum. So to calculate that, what I want to do is I simply want to put in 1 for n, right? and I have a yield to maturity of 3%, I'm going to use that as my discount rate. 3 for IY. We're trying to calculate the present value, but we're receiving 2% at the end of the first year, so 2 for FV. Then we can go ahead and calculate the present value. So we don't need the negative sign. We just put in 1.9417 in this box right here. All right, so this is basically how the entire column is calculated. I just did that for the first one. Let's also do that for the second one. Again, we're trying to calculate what is the present value of your second year cash flow. Again, this is 2% of the coupon. This is your 2% coupon, right? So in this case, I actually don't have to rerun the calculation, right? If you compare the first calculation, which you just did, and the second one, right? All you really have to do is to replace your N, because again, you're getting 2% coupon payment. So all you really have to do is to change from 1 to 2. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use 2 for N, and then go ahead and recalculate my present value. So this is how you get your second number. So you one by one, you fill this column here, right, by calculating the present value of each individual cash flow. So let's do that for year 3 and year 4. Again, for year 3, you're still getting 2%. The yield to maturity is still 3%. We don't have to change that. The only thing that we have to change is we want to use 3 for my N, and then I can go ahead and calculate the present value. That's your third number, right? And then last but not least, right here, we actually have to make 2 modifications, because you're talking about year 4, and you're also talking about 102% of the face value, because at the end, you're getting both the coupon payment and also the face value returned to you. So in this case, I'm going to use 4 for my N, but I'm going to use 102 for my future value. Then I'm going to go ahead and calculate the present value. So this is your last number here. All right, so hopefully that's clear to everyone. And then what you do is you add up those 4 numbers that you just calculated together. That should be pretty straightforward for everyone to do. I'm not going to show you that, but if you add up, 1.9417, 1.8852, 1.8303, and the last number here, you should get 96.2829. All right, and then what you do after that is, for each individual present value that you just calculated, you want to take that number and divide that by the total present value. So essentially what we're doing here in column number 4 is we try to calculate what's the percentage of present value you're getting back each year. As we all know, duration volatility, they're basically measuring how quickly you're getting your money back. So for the first one here, what I want to do is I want to take 1.9417, divide that by the total present value here, 96.2829, right? So in the first year, roughly speaking, you're getting back about 2% of the present value of this particular investment. And then what you do is you do the same calculation for all the other years. For example, for the second one, you take 1.8852, divide that by 96.2829, and then here you do the same thing, here you do the same thing, and that is basically how you get those numbers. All right, and then at the end, if you want to, you don't actually have to do this, but I think it's a nice verification. If you add up the 4 numbers that you calculated, you should get 1. All right, so if you're not getting 1, and that's an indication that you probably made a mistake somewhere. But those are basically just the individual present value as a percentage of the total. Obviously, you're supposed to get 1 at the end. And then the last thing that you do here, right, we have only 1 column left. What you do is you want to multiply column 4 by column 1. So whatever number that you have in column 4, multiply that by column 1. So here you're taking 0.0202 multiplied by 1. Obviously, that's going to give you 0.0202. And here you're taking 0.0196, multiply that by 2. Right? We can actually do that using our financial calculator. 0.0196, multiply that by 2. Right? This is why you have 0.0392 here. Then take this one, multiply by 3, take this one, multiply by 4. This is how you get the other two numbers, right? That's what I mean by column 4 times column 1. And then at the end, what you do is, again, you add up the 4 numbers that you calculated and, sum them up, and that's the total. This is actually the duration of the bond. Again, like I said, if you have the TIBA 2 plus professional, you don't actually have to go through this process to calculate. There is actually a function in there to for you to calculate this thing automatically, but unfortunately if you have to do this by hand, right, like I just showed you, you can still do that, right? It does take a little bit more time. So going back here, right, so this is the summation. This is basically your duration, right? And then to go from duration to volatility, what we do is we take the duration, divide by 1 plus yield to maturity. The yield to maturity here is given to us as 3%. So in this case, the volatility, which is also called the modified duration, by the way, can be calculated as 3.88. Divide that by 1 plus 0.07, and that is going to give you a duration, it's going to give you a volatility of 3.77. So this is basically how do you calculate, the duration and the volatility if you have to use the TIBA 2 plus to run the calculation. So as always, please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video tutorial.